the heat. My people are no fools on the heat. You must let my people go, so we can rule from Cape to Cairo. You must free my people's hands, so we can rule our purpose land. I wanna know who owns the land. Who wanna know who owns the land? Okay, now listen carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be ruled by Africans. I wanna know who owns the land. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. We must rule our purpose land. I say, we want to know who owns the land. I want to know who owns the land. Hustler. Hey, purpose land. Purpose land. Purpose land. It must be free. Angola want to know who owns the land. Mozambique want to know who owns the land. Namibia want to know who owns the land. I say, Soweto want to know who owns the land. Zimbabwe want to know who owns the land. African freedom fighters want to know who owns the land. Purpose land. All right. Now listen to the history. We've been here since creation. We've been here since creation. What does God know? Since the time of sun and stars. Since the time of moon and stars. Since the time of air and seas. Since the time of men and things. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. I said we must rule our purpose land. Purpose land. Oh! Okay now. Now I want to talk to my people. Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. Yeah, Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. Happily said over Daniela. Now we are the crossroad. On the femo, don't be right. Happily said over Daniela. On the femo, don't be right. Oh, Felimu Meya Gbera Baba. Yeah, oh, Felimu Jasu Yalaka. Oh, Felimu Aziza Yalaka. Oh, Minnie.
I think this is a revolution, and the revolution is a fast-moving train. And in a fast-moving train, you change things as you move. There are things that were not foreseeable 2 days ago, 2 years ago, 5 years, that we have learned on our way forward. And the most important thing we have to do, or have to know, is that each time we must be given the opportunity to be told what has happened, to be informed of what we intend to do next, so that everybody, whether you like it or not, at least if you don't like it, you are on the know of what is going on. I think that's the reasons for which we hold these things. This is not the first time We have held a meeting in Germany before, in Berlin. Last year there was one in Washington D.C. And at the approach of 2024, we need one again to see where we take off in 2024. Give an account of 2023 and prepare the grounds for the takeoff of 2024. That might be a reason why, there's a certain reason why certain changes will be made, I think. I don't want to be in front of the president. There are proposals to change some symbolic things. Because in the revolution, in everything, symbols have a lot to do. For example, when we go into the constitution of the country, we'll find something called the coat of arms. What is the coat of arms? It's a symbolic thing. It's nothing that you are going to carry some guns there. It's a symbolic thing. We have something called the flag. What is a flag? It's a piece of cloth, but a symbol of something that represents something. So symbols are important. And so when we discuss symbols, they remind us of the history we were coming from. They prepare us for the future we were going to. And so that's why I think some changes after the meeting of today. And with that, we need a president, we need a leader with some foresight. Leadership means having a foresight, telling the people where you are going to, reporting to the people what you have passed through. And I think that's what it is. I don't want to predict what will come out of the meeting
Okay,
of today.
this is. I want to come in here, gentlemen, and I'd like the both of you to interchangeably respond to this. Barrister Fru, you are the Attorney General. Barrister Tim, you happen to be the
Chair.
the the chair of the
of
judiciary, which means that things that have to do with policy and law would have been processed. And definitely, you're not talking this evening like somebody who is ignorant entirely, but you are saying that the rightful person to set the stage would have to talk about it. Now, I want to find out from both of you, is the president coming to the people of Amazonia this evening or to stakeholders to inform them of a preconception or a deliberation or the way he feels that the struggle should go? Or is he coming to consult? If it is the latter, which means he's coming to do a consultation and to seek opinion, a democratic position, if the people object or reject, have you thought of an option where the stakeholders see differently from the think tank that had the preconception? Let me start with you on that, Barrister Fru.
Yes, the president has called the assembly to consult on a certain number of proposals, and if that assembly accepts or rejects the proposal, that is democracy. If somebody will argue that there is no democracy in revolution, I'd like to remind them that we are in the 21st century and revolutions practice democracy too. We're working for the people, and we cannot make any decision without consulting the people. The result of the consultation will determine whether we go forward or we continue where we are today. I want to let everybody know that the president is coming to consult his people. And that's why I made mention of the House of Assembly, the interim House of Assembly, the interim House of Representatives. Because if he consults and the people modify what he's consulting, fair and good. If they reject it, fair and good. We'll stay where we are and we'll continue. But he cannot take a decision by himself. He must consult with his people. And that's why we are meeting today. That's the long and short of the answer, Paddy.
And no longer interim government. This is the government fully. There we go. Government of Southern Cameroon, Federal Republic of Amazonia.
Good evening, fellow Amazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this very important broadcast. We apologize for starting almost 30 minutes late. As you can see, there was a chain of shows for ABC Amba TV this Friday. And because of the importance of this program of tonight, we could not have given it up. Thank you for tuning in. I'm calling on all those who are watching us via WhatsApp or via YouTube and Facebook to share and to share very widely. Today we'll be talking on understanding legislative processes and lawmaking during wartime. Very important. Now, during war times or times of war, the legislative processes and lawmaking activities undergo significant transformations. Understanding these changes is crucial for several reasons. First of all, it is important. The exigencies of warfare often necessitate expedited legislative procedures, allowing governments to respond swiftly to emerging challenges. Secondly, the balance of power between branches of government may shift, with lawmakers sometimes ceding authority to the executive branch in the name of national security. Tonight's program examines the intricacies of the legislative processes during wartime in general and specifically in Amazonia, exploring how urgency impacts the creation and modification of laws. We will be looking at historical examples to illustrate the ways in which the Amazonian government has adapted its legislative frameworks to address the unique demands of ongoing armed conflict. But before we even get into that, there are some key elements I'd like you to take note of. Key aspects to consider include: number one, expedited procedures. Number two, executive authority. What does that really mean? Number three, public sentiment and accountability. Number four, legal framework in human rights. Number five, post-war legislation. Now, in the end of the day, by the end of tonight, we would have been able to look at the important, and like I said, it is very important to understand that the legislative processes during a critical time of war like what we have now, a senseless war that was declared on us, have been characterized by increased complexity and urgency. So I understand confusion and conspiracy. By examining these dynamics, we can better appreciate the implication of lawmaking in times of difficulty and the enduring impact of wartime legislation on our society and our nation. With me tonight is the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Dr. Winnie Lobati, that will be taking some questions and may probably have some information that is worth public consumption. We will begin right after the break. Good evening, Madam Speaker of the House of Assembly. You're welcome to this very important broadcast with us in ABC Amba TV. Tonight is a very important night that we would like to have a conversation with you, a necessary that way. And Amazonians would like to hear your opinion on very critical issues relating to a discussion that has to do with the legislative processes and lawmaking during wartime, precisely looking on the issue that pertains to Amazonia. I understand that you have a statement to present before we can take some questions. Please, the floor is all yours. I can't hear your sound. Maybe you want to put your volume, please. I still can't get sound from you. Not yet. Okay, let's verify that. We'll be back.
No, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm
Much better
sorry.
now.
Okay, yeah, I think I had my mic muted. So, good evening, fellow Amazonians, especially those at home front. ASA, I just want to thank you for being patient to listen and to learn as we move on, as we prosecute our struggle in a manner that is worthy and is dignified, and so that we can continue and till we get to Boya and set up offices. So before I move on and start, I want to welcome all the viewers and thank you for listening and watching and for giving me your ears. Let me start by just reading and let me put it this way, read something that will be important, and then I will eventually take a few questions. But my real questions I would really like to come from the home front. So people from the home front, be ready. I like to talk on you with you guys and explain things and or answer some questions that are relevant. And I may not answer all the questions. If there are questions that may be classified answers, I'll keep them to that. The legislative processes during Amazonia or Southern Cameroon's liberation movement. The Amazonian liberation movement aimed at achieving independence for Southern Cameroon has been in motion since independence of our nation on October 1st in 1961. This independence, I'll say independence in quote, resulted in what is considered an illegal occupation and invasion under the guise of a union of two states of equal status. This experimental union allowed La République du Cameroon, under the leadership of President Amadou Ahidjo, to dismantle Southern Cameroon's governmental institution frameworks as well as non-governmental structures. The dissolution of Southern Cameroon by Mr. Paul Biya in 1984 by returning to the name La République du Cameroun confirmed suspicions that the French and their allies intended to assimilate Southern Cameroons. Mr. Biya even hinted at this during the Paris Peace Forum of Mo Ibrahim in 2019. Fast forward to 2016, the political uprising catalyzed by the people of Southern Cameroon led to significant resistance against the oppression and territorial usurpation by La République du Cameroun. The people, standing united, sought to reassert their independence and restore not only their rights, but also the damaged institutions integral to their identity. Since 2017, the Southern Cameroon's Amazonia has been operating in exile, dedicated to actualizing the independence stolen from them. This movement has undergone rapid evolution from the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia Consortium United Front, also known as CACUF, to the Governing Council, the interim government, and currently the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, or the government of Southern Cameroon, or the government of Ambazonia. Today, I will present the processes, legalities, and the significance of this evolution. It is my hope that we, as a chosen generation, can solidify our understanding, will, and determination to free our nation from the clutches of the French Cameroon's hegemony. The fourth conclave of Zaria, Nigeria, held in November of 2017, marked a significant turning point by establishing the interim government of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. 5 years later, the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia decided it was prudent to revive the government structure led by Dr. EML Endeli and later transitioned to the John Gu Fonchas government. Consequently, on December 2nd, 2023, a constituent assembly comprising of all branches and tiers of the former interim government, with the exclusion of the interim House of Representatives, overwhelmingly voted for the resolutions to transition from the interim government to a full-fledged government of Southern Cameroon. Ambazonia, along with other pertinent issues to allow for effective governance, such as the interim constitution, the legislative body, were renamed. The custodial protector of state important artistic emblems and special codes to facilitate the preservation of the government was assigned to the president of the executive branch, and with some oversight by the legislative branch in the case of eventualities. These resolutions and bill to amend the constitution was then presented to the then interim House of Representatives for deliberation and voting into law. Hence, on December 3rd, 2023, the interim House, during an extraordinary session, deliberated, voted, and passed these amendments. The amendments were signed and promulgated into law by President Samuel Ekome Sako, PhD, on December 7th, 2023, during a town hall meeting. The interim constitution became the orders in council and delineated the nation's institutional framework in exile. The government, consisting of both executive branch, which includes the grassroots tiers, and the legislative branches, alongside the Judiciary and Ethics Commission and the Advisory Council. The authority of the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia from the order in council, previously known as the interim constitution. These processes and provisions carry significant legal bearing. It is important to note that there was nothing in the former interim constitution that prohibited the president from calling a constituent assembly whenever deemed necessary or in the event of an emergency. My prayer is for us to take offices in Buea as soon as possible. As we transition to Buea, the state constitution will be drafted and the people's voices will be heard, especially those at home front, as stipulated by the orders in council. Let Amazonians be mindful that the orders of council serve as the guiding rules that legally empowers the government in exile to operate. I can guarantee that if we tarry in exile longer, more amendments will occur as we pivot and adjust to changing circumstances. Granted, with the original foundational interim constitution, now known as the order, as granted by that original interim constitution, or now known as the orders in council. Let's spend the remainder of our time discussing how the House of Assembly works. And I will take a few questions and make an announcement at the end. Thank you for listening. Long live the Federal Republic of Amazonia, the government of the people of Southern Cameroons, the government of Amazonia, and long live the people and our government, and short live this struggle, and let Buea come quickly. Thank you.
That was an amazing document. Fortunately, you sent it to me, so I was going through. There's a lot for us to digest and probably to explain. I'll try to take just a few questions so Amazonians will have the opportunity to call in. We, like we said, we'll encourage to have calls from the home front. I like to notify that if you have to call in, you must call in and ask only a question. If you're not asking a question, I will not give you the opportunity. I will drop your call. We want to take just questions, and like the Speaker of the House said, not every question will be answered. You may want to ask questions concerning what she has read. Now, Madam Speaker, there's a lot of controversy, misinformation, disinformation, distortion of information. There is lots of concerns. I would like to start with a very simple questions. One thing was remarkable in all that you've read: the transition from the interim constitution into what is now known as orders in council. Where is this whole idea originating from? The concept of this, is it from a vacuum? Is it an improvisation from Amazonia? Why do we opt for an orders in council instead of an interim constitution? In essence, I'd like you to tell us what is the fundamental difference between the two, and why do we choose the latter for now? Please talk to us.
Thank you, Director Paddy. This is the first thing I want to say. Even when our constitution was called interim constitution prior to the order in council, it did make provision for changes, knowing that circumstances were going to be occurring that would warrant and really ask us to change. It is not a static document, but it's a document that is living and changing. I can say breathing, because as things and circumstances change, then we need to pivot, we need to adjust, we need to move and make those changes as quickly as we need them. Because when you are in a war situation and you are in a struggle for the survival of your people, it becomes really, really important and very, very necessary that the changes that need to be made can be made quickly so that things would happen. So, interim constitution. Why should we continue? Why should we be a government and then we call our constitution interim? We're a government in exile. And being a government in exile means that there are some things that are inherently um, particular of a government that is in exile. You are only in exile because there is problem. And so you cannot be on your territory to exercise the full power of sovereignty and statehood. So there has to be provision for shift and changes that allows this government in exile to be able to move quickly and make changes. Thank God we are able to even call the orders in council as the way to go than just saying an interim constitution. And Director Paddy, let me do something. It's good for me to state what the order in council by that title, what it really means, because it will be helpful. The order in council is a type of legislation made by either a king or a queen of a nation and a privy council and approved in person by the monarch. But there are really two types of order in council. One is statutory and the other is prerogative. The one I just stated is the prerogative side. Let's move to the statutory side. The statutory side of the order in council is made under the powers granted by the legislative body to empower or allow the the leader, let me use that, the leadership to be able to make some changes, do some things, and enforce them. It is interesting that while America has a constitution, but during the wartime that they had with their war of independence, they did use order in council to be able to fight back the British. And because
So,
there were some
I'm not cutting you short, Madam Speaker. What you're saying that the difference, the critical difference between a constitution, because we couldn't just be calling it a constitution for several reasons, which you emphasized in your monologue, but you're saying that the strategic difference between a constitution and order in council is the legislative facilitation for leadership because of emergencies and because of a rapid change during critical times. Is that it? Am I correct?
you are actually correct. You are correct. Yes.
Okay, so Ambazonia adopted this so that it can facilitate the president to take action, necessary action, especially as we struggle to fight the war. Now, you've mentioned some things, some changes that have taken place, both within government, both within the action of government, and how this is interpreted and implemented. What would you say for those who believe that it is more dictatorial than it should be democratic?
Paddy, I love the way you say dictatorial versus democratic. If we are fully democratic and fully dictatorial, it will be the extremes of two worlds. But we are kind of moderate in our governance. To be honest, there are many um, struggles where the people that are struggling for either independence or a cause um, just make quick decisions, snap decisions, and they move on. And in their movements, they just go ahead and make decisions and move on without really consulting maybe grassroots or all. But in the way we set up this order in council, mind you, amendments are made out of the interim constitution or to the interim constitution that we had so that we can now function and still leverage a democratic process as we go ahead. So we get used to democratic processes while we also are able to make swift, quick changes. Granted, while some things may change, the foundational structure of the order in council is still that interim constitution that we had. We can make amendments to that foundational structure and move on. But it doesn't absorb the government. I use the word government. You may look at it as just the executive branch of government. No, it's all branches and tiers of government. It doesn't absorb them from upholding that constitution or order in councils as we call it today. We still have to uphold it and we still have to use it as the guide that helps us during our struggle while we are in exile. So there is sanity for everybody, so that there is some way of doing things that is acceptable by the majority of the people that are in the prosecution phase of the struggle. Why I say in the prosecution phase, because we do have many of our people and who are at home front, but their voices cannot be truly heard now through the democratic process of voting. Why? We cannot vote with an occupier in there. They won't even let the people go have a vote. So we can't vote. So at this time, you have this government in exile acting in good faith and willingly, both with financial and both with their time and both with their intellect to push the struggle till we get to Boya and set up offices.
Well, that's amazing. We're going to get back into that because even in La République du Cameroon, when the political uprising started, political advisors like Cabral Libi and others who are pro-Cameroon or Franco-Cameroon hegemony advised the government in Yaoundé to declare a state of emergency, which means that their so-called constitution is kept aside. And rapid actions are taken. Well, that they were trying to encourage their government to foster the genocide that is ongoing right now. But now our case is almost similar but slightly different. We have an order in council that is a binding document, but it gives the leverage for rapidity. I'm trying to explain this so that those who are listening might understand the difference. There are some people I've seen, they still didn't know that we're not talking about constitutions no more. We're talking about order in council. Some might feel they have been manipulated into something new. But you, in your explanation, and this is a very fundamental question, in your explanation, you explain three major processes. You explain 2nd of December 2003. You explain the 10th of December that the House had a deliberation. And you explain the 7th of December where the president signed. So there was a constituent assembly consultation, there was the House deliberation, and there was the signing. Three processes that were respected religiously. Can you tell us, by connecting and explaining, elaborate what happened prior, during, within, and after this, and the significance of it? Please talk to us.
The let me put a disclaimer here. A constituent assembly does not have to be labeled ASSC. People need to get that out of their mind. Because if you think that a constituent assembly has to carry the alphabet abbreviation of ASSC, then you deceive yourself. Then you are really not understanding the times in which we are. A time of war and a time that needs real changes that has to happen. A constituent assembly is a deliberate act by the government, both the legislative, the executive branch, and all the other arms of government, to bring together the people for a purpose, a working session for a purpose with pertinent, clear, delineated roles and purpose for what they are there to work on something, and that something has to be of significant value that will impact or change how we move or how we operate, and that may change even laws. We do have other meetings that are operational meetings that we call town hall meetings or APP meetings. Those are routine, regular working meetings that we have. But when we call a constituent assembly with a designated purpose and reason, then all the tiers and arms of government are invited. And in so doing, they come in, and the purpose for that meeting is expressively communicated. If I talk about December 2nd, there was a bill that the judiciary presented. There were proposed resolutions that our people had, us, the people, had to deliberate, and there were questions. It was a working session. Questions were answered, answers were provided. The reason and the justification for what happened on December 2nd was well stated in that meeting. And I'm glad that I think ABC probably carried that um, session and published some excerpts of that. And then, mind you, because the legislative branch is going to be the arm of government that will either vote, if whatever resolutions are passed, will deliberate, vote on it, then the legislative arm of government could not participate in the voting at that constituent assembly. The reason being that it would have meant that they voted twice and we couldn't. And that would have meant you casting a vote twice on an issue. So the legislative branch of government abstained, stepped out, and allowed, after we all participated in the deliberations of those resolutions and the bill that was tabled, but the legislative branch had to step out, given the constituent assembly the full freedom to make the decision as they chose that was necessary. Hence, when that was voted and passed, and whatever was tweaked and presented, the House now was presented with the bill and the resolutions. And then the House took it into, let me say, their house, and then it was also deliberated, and it was now put into vote, and it was carried. Mind you, this is where many people fail to realize the legislative body has the authority to strengthen or to enhance the will of the people in the direction that protects the people and protects the government. So, in their processes of doing things, or of deliberation, they could slightly or do things that some people may look at and say, oh, it didn't come out verbatim. Resolutions do not really carry the language of the legality of how um, laws are written. So it really still has to be polished and put into the language that is appropriate and that is tight and doesn't give room for ambiguity.
Okay, I like the wordings. I'm just enjoying you speak, and I'm getting lost with some of the questions that I have here. Two things. You say it doesn't carry. It is not word verbatim, meaning the House deliberated, considered the wording, read it closely. Every member of the House actually read it before they voted for it, and then constructed it to say, okay, this is what we are sending for the signature of the president. It was the entire House that deliberated on that. Second thing, what was the importance or what was the significance to have the House separating themselves from the Constituent Assembly? Because Amazonians need to understand, during you were there during the Constituent Assembly, but separated yourself and did not participate in the vote. It was an overwhelming vote anyway. I was there, I witnessed it, I broadcasted it. So why did the House separate? Can you explain that aspect elaborately?
Yes, being the legislative arm, that is the last and the okay, as the legislative arm, we are the voices of the people at the federal or the federal level of the government, and we represent the people, and the voices of the people is what is important. We cannot vote twice. So if we had voted with the Constituent Assembly, we will be coming again in our chambers to vote, and that will be voting twice. You taint the vote. So what you do is you separate yourself. Let the people speak as they want to speak, and then we take it back to see and then vote now without tainting what they did before. So we cannot vote twice. We should not vote twice on the same whether it's resolution or bill or article that we are putting that we have put out to the people. Granted, if we were, let me put this, if we were already on the ground, set up offices in Amazonia, and a bill or a constitutional thing was sent out to the public for everybody to vote, guess what? As an individual, you have the right to vote and you can go vote as you want. But when that result comes out and it's sent to your chambers, knowing that as legislators, you are representing a constituency, you will be voting based on how your constituency wants it to be, irrespective of your feelings about it or how you had voted as an individual. But that is for governance in a nation that has a state that has the courts of law and everything is working smoothly. So that is it.
Okay, Madam Speaker, I am pleased with what you have said. There's a video I'd like us to watch. Watch this video very briefly. And after that, I'm going to ask you a question so we can move forward. Let's watch this video.
I think you can unmute.
Yes, Mr. President, we're going to take you from the council now.
The nation, the people right now. So,
That was the voice of the attorney.
So this law will be reflected. The bill that was voted by the president of the
Yeah. Next. Here we have the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia signing the declaration that makes Ambazonia a government and no longer interim government. This is the government fully restored, and the next destination is Boya. There we go. Government of Southern Cameroon, Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has just promulgated the bill that was voted by the House of Assembly into law. So this law will be reflected in the new constitution. Thank you very much.
That was the voice of the Attorney General, Barrister Fu Jonso, who was assisting the President in finalizing the signatures.
No, I want to address the nation, the people right now. So, Paddy, if you want me to be on VMix call, do.
Okay. The name you heard there, that was my name. The President was calling to prove that I covered the event. So that was history we actually witnessed. Madam Speaker, this is the question I want to ask you right now. Was the House, I'm talking not you as an individual, was the House as a whole satisfied with this document that was signed by the President? Was it recognizable after the signature, after it was signed? Please, a yes or a no. If you want to explain, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I think because we took time. The fact that it was just sent to the House, we were not there to just rubber stamp things. We took and looked at the crux of the matter. And in looking at them, we, like I say, we could strengthen some things. We could put them in a language that is more palatable as in terms of the law. And so that was done, and there was an overwhelming vote for that, and which is good. And even if you have people that dissent, or even if, mind you, let me put this again comes into processes, legislative processes. The legislative branch of government cannot hold a session without a quorum, including its committees. The committees too must have a quorum before they carry business. So when the legislative arm of government took that bill and the resolutions, remember they had to, the bill comes and then the resolutions followed, and they have to marry the two and make it in a manner that strengthens that bill and then give the intent of the people's choices. It's well crafted. So the legislative process requires that there is a quorum before we carry business. With that said, on the 2nd of December, let me backtrack. The reason the legislative branch had to meet initially before the rest of the Constituent Assembly came was to ensure we had a quorum for that working session.
You're telling the people of Amazonia that the House had a quorum prior, during, after the Constituent Assembly sitting?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So we had to ensure we had that quorum. And so if you anybody who that document is public document to all the because people were invited, and we were invited under either a tier or an arm of government or an advisory or a commission. So everybody had that that invitation under the category. For some people, it would have meant they were able to be there or hit that invitation from multiple angles. So we the house had to ensure we had a quorum. So we came in earlier, made sure we had our roll call, made sure we had enough members, made sure that things were put in place for that working session. And that's how the house operates. And we have rules that guide and directs the house how we also operate. They are called our terms of reference. And we also have rules, and we have a mission statement. And by the way, we also have an ethical document. Part of our rules is so as to guide our conduct as house members. And there are also rules that allow the house members, how if for whatever reason a house member chooses to put a bill into place, how it goes about. It cannot be one house member that can put a bill. It doesn't meet the standard. So there are processes of how bills are introduced to the house by especially members. The reason I say a house member, because you could have a grassroots that really feels strongly about something and they want the house to take it up and maybe bring this up for deliberation. Then they have to have a sponsor, and the ultimate sponsor, I thought I was losing myself. The ultimate sponsor should be their house representative to bring that. But that one person alone cannot bring that to the floor. There is a process. You must have somebody else to be co-sponsors of those kinds of bills.
Madam Speaker, I have two questions for you so that we will take a break and then open the phone line so that people can start calling in and probably to ask their questions. And if there are no questions, I would presume that your explanation has been satisfactory. I want to limit the questions that I ask you because the president himself will have to take some other questions. We're hoping probably to have him next week, even before the town hall or APP meeting, so that he can also talk to the world. Now, the world is listening to you today. The entire world is watching Ambazonia, and people are watching us see how we can emulate the conduct of our forebears after they left Enugu, the way we behave ourselves, conduct ourselves. I want to ask you, as you're looking into the eyes of the people of Ambazonia now, what is the health of the House of Assembly as of today? Before I get into these two questions,
Can I get that question a second time? I didn't hear
what
you
is
well.
the health of the House of Assembly as we speak right now? What's the health?
I consider the
We have
health of
or COVID or whatever.
yes. I know what you mean. It's how is the house? I consider the house getting stronger and more mature as the remember we had a lot of house members who had not been in legislative body before. So when they came, there's been a learning curve, and many of them are learning and they are moving and they are interested. Like each one of us who are juggling time and living our lives and trying to take care of our families while we volunteer in this position, we also have challenges. And some of those challenges, sometimes, like I said, having a quorum for a meeting. And of course, the House has lost some members, some of it through death, some of it House members just had other overwhelming challenging issues that that they stepped out or they stepped down or they withdrew.
That's amazing. Okay, this is an important question I have here. and I wrote it down precisely for you. Why is it important for the executive leadership to have access and be custodian to our revolutionary intellectual and electronic properties? Why is that very important to our case? Yeah.
Paddy, there is no government on earth that doesn't have things tangible or intangible that is of value to them, and they don't have somebody or some law that guides that government how to protect those tangible and intangible properties that they have. So as a government, it just but makes sense. And knowing that we are in exile, there's a lot of things that help. If you know who, let me put it this way, Paddy. If I come to your house and your family, and there are things that are important to you, and I want to ask something, and I knock the door, and your son or daughter opens the door, and I say, "Hey, can you go bring me that daddy special coat or daddy special this?" That child will automatically say, "Oh, wait, no, that's not our responsibility to make that decision. Daddy has to be the one to make that decision because daddy is the head of that family." Using this analogy, it is, if we put you as the leader of our government in exile, we the people, that's what I'm expressing, then there are some special things that you will be responsible to be the custodian of those intellectual things that are near and dear to our hearts as a people. However, even though we put that, policies and procedures can be written based on that law, how the executive, how the president, remember, it is not an individual, it is the office that handles that. And so
The
it doesn't
office of
matter.
the president represented by His Excellency Dr. Samuel Komesako.
President
Am I correct?
Sako is sitting, President Sako is sitting in that office today. I am sitting in this chair now as the speaker. But tomorrow I will not be here. I'm not going to live forever.
Might not
The
be there.
president,
You
yes.
might not. I want us to be very clear
What
with
I
our
mean
language.
by tomorrow in the future, I will get old. I will eventually pass on and die. Or I may step down as we get to Boya and the transition phase kicks in for 3 years. And after that, I may just say, okay, I'm done with this. The work I wanted to do has been accomplished. Let others take over and go. So what I'm saying is you have to define things based on the office versus the individual. So laws are defined based on office and not a particular individual. And laws are created in that fashion. Because if you start looking, oh, Paddy, I don't like your nose. So I will put law say, oh, my way, get nose with they like your own. We'll get for kill. That is stupidity. So we have to protect Paddy. Whether Paddy's nose is however it is, Paddy as an individual has the right to live, irrespective of whether your nose is flat, big, whatever, it doesn't matter. So that office is the office that handles that. And even when the amendments happen, it gives the president, because there is nowhere in our order of council that allowed for the custodian to be clearly named and assign this. That custodian could take some of our emblems and things and say, maybe I want in my office in the presidency, I want a keeper of the seal, a keeper of this, and they can write policies, how those things function. Excuse me, let me take a drink.
Please.
So, what is important is to don't put an individual, because the authority is not the individual, it is the office. And once you understand that it is the office, don't fight what today. If tomorrow you are in that office, you hamstring yourself, then you will find yourself, it will become difficult for you to operate, because you
Operate.
thought that, yes, you thought that, oh, I didn't like Paddy's nose, so I will ban people who have Paddy's nose to be in the government. Just an
Prior,
analogy.
prior to this time, Madam Speaker, and this is the last question, we're going to have a break and open the phone lines. Prior to this time, whether in the interim constitution and now order in council, was there any provision as to who is the legal person to keep this intellectual property?
Paddy, we mentioned our emblems and we mentioned our state holidays, but there was really nobody that was really clearly assigned that responsibility. It is assumed in every country that the president upholds the constitution and makes sure that things go well. And with that, being a government in exile, we have a lot of things that are intangible and that are that need to be handled and need to be carried out and need to be protected. And to protect that, we have to assign somebody to protect that. Who ultimately should we give him that assignment? The first we know, the person we know in that office to be able to do that, so that when things maybe they don't go right, we know who to go and blame. When things don't happen well, we know who to go and
So you're
ask to
saying
say,
that
hey,
prior to this time, there was nothing in our documents that designated anybody to have responsibility for that. That's the point
no,
I want it to be clear. So the Richard Tangos, the Assanges, or everybody that went with it was just somebody coordinating the project, personalizing the project, and choosing to own the project at the end of the day.
okay, Paddy, I would like to read article article let me go, article 3, page 25. National symbols, motto. The motto of the nation shall be liberty, justice, integrity. That's an intangible thing. Mm? The motto is informed by resolve to move away from historical injustice and corruption towards a future that guarantees honor and redistributive justice to all. Then, national flag. The national flag, consisting of blue and white horizontal stripes, 13 golden stars surrounding the white dove, emblo- emblazoned on the blue square background, shall be the national flag until otherwise determined by the people of Amazonia sitting in a constituent assembly. National anthem. The national anthem shall be Hail this land of glory until otherwise decided by the people of Amazonia sitting in the constituent assembly. The coat of arms. The national coat of arms shall be, they describe that. The seal shall be a circular medallion and what? Which part of that amendment also allowed us to change the seal.
Okay. At this juncture, Madam Speaker, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, the phone lines will be open. So brace your questions, keep them brief, and we will close the program right after the questions.
Let's get out there. Let's fight for it. Let's get out there. Let's vote for it. And together, let us write the next great chapter.
Every 4 years, America faces a pivotal moment, choosing its next leader. But how does this process really work? Welcome to Voting Uncovered on ABC Amba TV.
Join us as we dive deep into the intricacies of the U.S. elections. We'll explore the untold stories, what influences voter decisions, the impact of swing states, and the strategies candidates use to sway the public.
Who has the chance of winning? We'll analyze the current contenders, dissect the polls, and share insider insights from political strategists and analysts.
Get ready for a compelling journey into the heart of American democracy. Tune in for exclusive interviews, captivating stories, and the facts behind the fiction, because it's time to truly understand how America votes.
Voting Uncovered, only on ABC Amba TV. Don't miss out on these insights.
Want to be a president? Then you need a swing state strategy. Neither blue for Democrat nor red for Republican. They often get called the purple states as they swing between both parties. These 7 states, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania and Michigan, will matter more than others. You'll see more money spent, more campaign visits in these places.
Never heard anything like it.
And they're not all the same, with different economies and demographics.
God bless America.
So what do they worry about? What motivates them?
Kamala's a brat. Yes. Yeah. She's a brat. She's a brat, yeah.
This country loves people who are the bad guys.
But America, we are not going back.
And we will make America great again. Fight, fight.
Before we dive in, we need to understand why swing states exist. And to do that, we have to talk about the US electoral system, the Electoral College. In the Electoral College, each state is awarded a number of votes based on its population. For example, California has a big population of 39 million, so it gets 54 Electoral College votes, while Vermont, with a small population of around 650,000, only gets 3. So when Americans vote in presidential elections, they're actually voting for who their state will vote for. So if, for example, the Democrats win by just 1% in a particular state, they get all the Electoral College votes. To win the presidency, candidates need 270 or more of these Electoral College votes. This is why candidates don't campaign in safe states. In 2020, almost 3/4 of all campaign events took place in just 6 battleground states. So now you know how the Electoral College system works. But to really understand what matters in this election, let's look at the swing states one by one. In the southwest of the country, we have Arizona, the Grand Canyon state. Historically, a Republican red state. In 70 years, Arizona voted for Democrats just twice, for Bill Clinton in 1996 and Joe Biden in 2020, but he only won by 0.3%. Arizona, together with California, New Mexico and Texas, share a border with Mexico. That means immigration is a hot topic in the state. A poll found that 1/3 of people in Arizona think immigration is the most pressing issue in this election. In 2021, President Joe Biden gave Kamala Harris a key job in tackling the border crisis.
And the bottom line is addressing the acute and root causes of migration.
Under Biden's presidency, arrivals have hit record highs, and Donald Trump is using that to gain voters in the state.
There's never been a border in the whole world that's leaked like this border.
But there's something else that could define the election here.
Restore legal abortion across this country.
In June 2022, the US Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, effectively returning abortion policy decisions to the states. Since then, states like Arizona have become battlegrounds for abortion access. In April 2024, the Arizona Supreme Court revived an 1864 near-total abortion ban.
It is a dark day in Arizona. Just now, the Arizona Supreme Court issued its opinion upholding one of the most extreme abortion bans in the country.
During his presidency, Trump supported a national abortion ban at 20 weeks. But in his current campaign, he's avoided taking a hard line.
Did Arizona go too far? Yeah, they did, and that'll be straightened out. And I'm sure that the governor and everybody else are going to bring it back into reason.
While Kamala Harris has always been vocal about reproductive freedoms. This might help her get the votes of women concerned about reproductive rights.
Overturning Roe was just the opening act of a larger strategy to take women's rights and freedoms.
What about Nevada, Arizona's neighbour? Most of the state is rural, with the population predominantly concentrated in just 2 counties. Because of its small population, Nevada only has 6 electoral college votes. That's the lowest number among the swing states. But don't be fooled, Nevada is an important state to win. For that reason, it's often referred to as the bellwether state. Look at this graph. The winner in Nevada has gone on to win the presidency in 10 of the last 12 elections. In the past 4 elections, Nevada voted for Democrats. But its fast-growing and diverse population means its vote is highly unpredictable. Nevada, America's gambling capital, also has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. And Trump often talks about lower taxation and fewer regulations at his rallies.
No tax on tips. Do we like that?
Voters do like that, something the Democrats have noticed too.
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Moving on to the East Coast, there's Georgia. The Peach State didn't used to be a swing state, but Biden's unexpected victory in 2020 turned it into one. Biden became the first Democrat to win Georgia in nearly 3 decades. And black voter turnout was important in his victory here. The Atlanta metropolitan area has one of the highest proportions of African Americans in the country. So what's at play here? A poll found that 1 in 4 say preserving democracy is the top issue in November's election, followed by immigration and inflation. You might remember this 2021 phone call, in which Trump, who was president at the time, asked Georgia's Secretary of State to find him enough votes so he could claim victory in the election that he'd just lost.
I just want to find 11,780 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
4 days later, on January the 6th, Trump delivered the speech that preceded the U.S. Capitol riot.
We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Why am I telling you this? Trump and 18 others are being prosecuted in Georgia for conspiracy to overturn the state's 2020 election results, which they deny.
President Trump.
It's unlikely the case will be settled before the November election, but it could influence how Georgia will vote. North of Georgia, we have North Carolina. Like Georgia, North Carolina used to be a reliable red state. Look at this. In the past 50 years, Democrats won here only twice, in 1976 with Carter and in 2008 with Obama. So why is it classed as a swing state? Because Republicans saw pretty thin margins of victory in recent elections. What's changing? Well, let's zoom in on the Raleigh-Durham-Cary region, also nicknamed the Research Triangle. There are 3 major universities here. Since 2020, the area population has grown 5.6%, the 10th fastest rate in the whole of the US. And this could help the Democrats. Data shows that from 2011 to 2021, North Carolina newcomers were from California, New York, and New England states, all heavily Democratic. Black, Latino, and multiracial people make up almost 90% of North Carolina's new residents, and these are groups that traditionally tend to lean left. But despite that, the majority of the population in North Carolina is white. And polls suggest some are concerned about immigration. Trump has made the anti-immigration sentiment a big part of his campaign.
So illegal aliens are stampeding into America by the millions and millions. Vote Republican and we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history.
But in the last few months, the Biden administration has been more aggressive on immigration. The president recently signed an executive action that will temporarily shut down asylum requests when illegal crossings are too high.
This action will help us gain control of our border, restore order into the process. And if the United States doesn't secure our border, there's no limit to the number of people may try to come here.
Will that be enough?
Every 4 years, America faces a pivotal moment, choosing its next leader. But how does this process really work? Welcome to Voting Uncovered on ABC Amba TV.
Join us as we dive deep into the intricacies of the U.S. elections. We'll explore the untold stories, what influences voter decisions, the impact of swing states, and the strategies candidates use to sway the public.
Who has the chance of winning? We'll analyze the current contenders, dissect the polls, and share insider insights from political strategists and analysts.
Get ready for a compelling journey into the heart of American democracy. Tune in for exclusive interviews, captivating stories, and the facts behind the fiction, because it's time to truly understand how America votes.
Voting Uncovered, only on ABC Amba TV. Don't miss out on these insights.
Madam Speaker, you're welcome back. Thank you for being patient with us as we do that act there. Starting tomorrow into next week, we will be having discussions on election, U.S. election, the impact in global until your participation. Every Ambazonian watching us, you would have had enough time to put together your questions, be concise with them. For those who have some questions from the home front and even in the diaspora, we'd like to take the first question. If you have a question, please, you can call. Meanwhile, in the meantime, Madam Speaker, you may want to talk to us some issues that I didn't ask you any question. You have some things to cement what you've been saying. And if we don't have any questions, it will definitely mean that those watching this program are satisfied of your responses. Please talk to us.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Again, like I said, legislative processes during a wartime, especially for a government in exile, can be really challenging, but as well, it is also interesting. But one thing I want to make Ambazonians realize is that at this moment, we may have differences in opinion, but we don't have multi-party. We have one party, and the party is a party that is fighting to get rid of our oppressors out of our land, out of our territory, so we can get into Boya. And once we get into Boya, believe me, the way I know Ambazonians, the multi-party will just flow. It is in our DNA. It's not something that we're going to be begging. Think about it. Even La République could never have even gone into multipluralism had it not been for our people taking the risk to start a party that won election that the government of La République stole. But let's put that to the side. We are here today because we've understood our identity, who we are, and where we are moving. And we are moving back to Boya to have our statehood. So that is very important and critical. So that as we understand how legislative processes work and how things are done, it will help us to be able to assess and judge. Let me put it this way. Right now, people that say they go to the parliament in La République, they live there, they get their whatever perks are given to them. They do not come back to know what is important for their constituency, the people, and they only just come back around once in a while and they are gone. But in the US where I live, yeah, you have to come back home. You have to tell the people what you did and how can you even go to the national cake and bring something back from
We
the
have
people.
we have two callers here. Let me take the first caller. We have two callers here. Yeah, caller number one. Please go ahead. Go ahead. What? Yeah, go. Yeah, you're the first caller. Go ahead, please.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you, Paddy, for picking my call. I want to thank the Madam Speaker for the good response. I mean, he has responded diligently with the questions and the analysis of the constitution of Ambazonia. So I just have a concern that every citizen is required to have access to the constitution. And if there was any change without the knowledge of citizens, do they have the right to ask questions about it, or they just have to sit quiet and just accept what is out there for the people? Secondly,
Okay. Yeah, you have already asked two questions in one. Number one, access. Number two, right to. Yes, just a moment.
Where are you from?
If we are fighting today Amazonia like a country with a difference in Africa, the people who have respect for the government, respect for everything in that country. And we see here the top leaders coming out, instead of bringing sanity to any situation, they put insults.
Okay, please, do you want to focus? I'd like you to focus on the issues relating to what we discussed. The second concern is of no need in this discussion. So the first, so she's going to answer the questions that you have answered. Okay? No. Be concise with your answer. Do you be concise with your question? Do you want a response to the first questions, or do you? If you don't have another question, then I'll drop your call so that she can focus on that.
Okay, that's the next question I wanted to ask, because
straightforward with the question. What is the question? Is it related to this discussion?
The question is, what is the Speaker of the House response to this attitude of the government members?
Okay, that is not related to this processing. That is something we can address during a town hall. So we're going to answer questions related to this. Thank you. So, Madam Speaker, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Once a law is passed and promulgated, there is publication of that, and that's okay. That's normal. But being in exile, people really we need platforms that we can publish some of these laws and things on, where people can have access to read in this time of electronic age. So that's what it is. That's what I would say. Yes, we should have access, all of us.
So the next part of the question is, can the people question it after it has been published? Maybe I should add something to that. If the people question it, what is the impact if the people question?
The impact, they can go to a town hall and ask why that was changed. However, or they can ask through their legislative member. However, I do not want to be dragged into something that is happening or may be happening, because guess what? Nobody washes their dirty laundry in the public unless you go to the river. You don't go wash your linens in the public. So let me put it this way. Access for information is the right of the people, but we have to have the platforms where you can have this published and you have the access.
And then you have answers. Thank you very much. We're taking the second caller. This is from the diaspora. Please, caller, go right ahead. I think this is Barrister Tim. Barrister Tim, please. Can you talk to us? Reduce the volume of your set, please.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Congratulations for being up to the task. I'm not asking a question. I want to compliment what you have said so that people might understand you better than what they already understand. I want our listeners to understand from what you say that this is the only revolution that has these structures. These structures are deliberately put there for a purpose because our struggle is for the restoration. It's not about human rights.
Please, sir, do you want to reduce the volume of your set so that the people listening to you can hear what you're saying? Just reduce the volume of your set on your television, please. No, I can still hear background sound from your television. Just put it down entirely. I can get it. So just reduce it entirely.
Well, I don't have a television here. Let me see.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get to me now.
Yeah, I can get you, but it is still echoing. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I have said that the only reason I'm trying to explain to complement what the speaker has said, that the only reason why we have these structures in place in this revolution is that this is the only revolution that is geared towards something else. It's not about human rights. It is fighting to restore what we have. And here, everything symbolic has a meaning. You see the signature of that document. You find the background. It's in the executive position of any government. And so we are restoring the government. These structures that are operating in exile are symbolic of the government that we have. And before I go to compliment her, when you asked her, the speaker, what remedies do you have for after signing? As a government, once that document is signed by the president in our ways that has been promulgated, it becomes the law. It becomes a law. The only option available for any ambassador who challenges it is to go for a constitutional amendment.
Okay.
When the time comes, the speaker cannot change it because it has been promulgated into law. You see, if you want to change it, if you don't like it, you just wait. When the next opportunity comes, you propose a constitutional amendment and have it removed. That is the only procedure they have for you. And then, the last thing I wanted to say, to complement what she said, is this. Now, I don't know, once it is there, we know the structures of this government. The executive, the judiciary, the assembly. All these, I'm chair of the executive, I'm chair of the judiciary. I don't have any staff. The House, I'm sure, does not have any staff. So the bottom line is this. Wherever you are working at the level of the government, you are subject to the executive, which is headed by the president. So you are working at his or her discretion. And so nobody working in this government, in any part of the government, county, local government, whatever thing you call it, treasury, should ever stand up to challenge the chief executive. The chief executive is the boss, and you are working at his or her discretion. That is the bottom line. And so, for people who think that, and therefore there should be no place where the president has no access to. It is the president that distributes access. In fact, we also call him the commander-in-chief. As the commander-in-chief, he is the final authority. It is not about Mr. Sako, President Sako, or me, or anybody else. No. It is not about his size or his division. No. As she says, and the speaker says, once you occupy that position, you take command. And I will only end this by referring us back, or restoring, to 1961. In 1961, if you look at Fumba, the personality that was the Fumba, the smallest among them in physical structure,
was a man they call Fancha. And then he was there, twice his height. Muna was there, 3 times his height. Ahilo was there, 4 times his height. But he was the leader of the delegation. He was the honor man who gave the opening speech in Fumba. And we're restoring those institutions. So it is not whether you like President Sako or Kiti. One, a person holds that position, and for now, it is President Sako who is holding that position. So nobody can legally have a challenge. As illegal to say I'm challenging the president, call it a code, access to whatever. No, it as a matter of law. That legally it is the president who has supreme authority over every aspect of the revolution. You don't need to like it, but that is the law. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain this. Over to you.
Amazing. I think we as Ambazonians, some of us are learning as we go. But I would say for those who are still learning, it is important to do so with some humility. You don't insult, argue, and fight as you want to learn. That's unfortunate. Madam Speaker, maybe you want to add something to what Barrister Mbesi was just saying there.
Thank you, Barrister. Yes, constitutional amendments or now order in council amendments require that it also be presented to a constituent assembly. Whether it's something that you didn't like or you liked, it will have to go back and follow the same due process that it did prior to amendments. So it's a process. In America, it's a little bit different. For the federal constitution to be amended, it has to be voted on and then sent to all the states. All the states have to vote and ratify it before it can now go back to the federal government to be accepted. And there's a high level of quota for that to happen. So constitutional amendments are not things that amend to destroy, but to strengthen, but to make it such that today, if I sit in some office and I don't like I said, your nose, then I said that people with your nose must die. And the type of nose that you have must die. So a constitutional amendment is a serious thing. The order in council here is helping us because, like we have already said, we are a government in exile. We don't have our courts. We are not on our territory. And when we get to our territory, based on the provisions that have been that are carried or are stated in this order in councils, we have a transitional phase, and the constitution of the nation, once we set office in Boya, will be drawn up. The people will vote on it. And it actually clearly states that if we don't care to use any of the things that are in this constitution, we can shove it, or the order in council, we can shove it in the side and start from scratch. So this is really something that if you read and you understand and you take time, it's taking time to read. I pray and wish Amazonians will take the time to read. Remember, it's only a guiding document for us at this time. It doesn't have things about electoral vote, penal code, and other things that a constitution will have, and that will set things in motion for governance on the territory and on the ground. It is more for us to guide and lead ourselves as changing things are happening. Then we can pivot, adjust, and move on so that we can be on the winning stride and get to Boya faster. Thank you.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of calls from the home front because we started this program pretty late. It's at 11 p.m. in Ambazonia, and I think we should be rounding off right now. Listening to you just making these remarks there and highlighting what happens today in America only tells us the reasons for the option of orders in council that is much more flexible, faster when it comes to changes and decision making. That's quite instrumental. And like I said, we as Ambazonians, as leaders, particularly if you are a leader, it is not a bad thing for you not to know, but it is everything bad when you don't know and you are recalcitrant or arrogant. So do yourself some due diligence and try to study, read, and just learn some things. Ask humble questions instead of it being
Director
insulting.
Paddy, can I make a comment here? Let's
Please.
be the Amazonian people really need to realize that the legislative arm of government, which is the lawmaking arm of the government, really has some authority to do some things that the executive branch doesn't have. We can make laws. When we make laws, I will say this from my profession, laws are made and then it goes to other bodies like you will hear they say technocrats. Then they use those laws that have been made to design policies and procedure that helps people to implement and fulfill those laws. So we make the laws are made, but sometimes its implementation is not just verbatim how the law is. You need other policies that encapsulate that law to help people to manage and know how to um, be in compliance with that law.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let us not just come here when the people are dying and when we are facing a critical time and we're just talking politics and law. But I think it has been an enriching conversation. The president, a few days ago, launched the transition fund. I understand that you've been very committed to it. At this time, even this platform has been proven to be a revolutionary weapon. The president calls it the ASA in the diaspora, ABC. And all of this has to do with committing funds. What would you have to say very briefly about the transition fund to encourage Amazonians, the need for us to get engaged? While we're planning for this program, you told me a couple of times, I don't know what, I don't want to claim to know why the president is saying so, you are saying so, and a few other people are saying that we are at the final stage. The president calls it transition. We're getting ready to go. What are you seeing that others are not seeing? And how do you want to get people joined into this momentum and have to participate in so that the government can achieve their target before the year closes with the transition fund drive? Please talk to us with your closing remarks.
There are some things that the president is very privy as he does diplomatic connections and engagements that sometimes many of us may not see it. However, when we move into this transition draft, it is a testament to the fact that we know we are at Munya and heading to Bongo Square. So this is something that every Amazonian, if you can, while you're in at the home front, to support, we encourage you and we applaud you. If you are in the diaspora, don't take this lightly because here is the truth. If we go and we get to Boya, we don't want to be completely at the begging door and mortgaging some of our resources that we have so that we can get money to go put offices, to go put things. We should be able to have some money and be able to get fast on the ground and be able to set these offices. And money is what we will need to get to doing this. So a transitional phase, resources, work, and is necessary. And it's money that will help initially the government to be able to stand, to be able to relate and do some other things that we are classified at the moment and cannot be expressed or shared in. Yes, knowledge is power, but there are something. Every state has its sacred, just like every family has its sacred conversations that happen in the bedroom and not in the parlor and not in the public square. So I would say support the transition draft, give the government the opportunity to move, because to be honest, it may be only a small window of opportunity that if we miss that opportunity, it may take us back for several years. I always give my advice to my loved ones. I say, let me tell you, if you are in your house, opportunity is walking in front of your house and passing. It doesn't camp at anybody's door. People who have the eyes to see opportunity, they will jump out, open the front door, grab opportunity and put it in their house, and that opportunity will make things better for them. So we Ambazonia, opportunity is passing. There are several ways and several things that are happening in the clock line of our struggle that is telling us that opportunity is passing. Don't wait. Don't be hesitant. Nobody, no one is going to come do it for us. We have to grab opportunity by ourselves, and we are seeing that. And so we need to move quickly to grab opportunity and let it stay with us so that we can be in Boya in no time. But Director Paddy, I want to take this opportunity. The House of Assembly, for over a year, we've been working on something that is very important to us. And it has been our goal to actually do what I am doing here today. We actually were supposed to start this last month, but because of some of the challenges of things that are happening, I just took the opportunity. I said, if we never launch it, we never launch it, we will never get there. So this, I consider this one-on-one is the first launch of the House of Assembly. It's communication with the people of Amazonia, and it's going to be titled Insight. So we will be coming either monthly or every or twice a month to present things as they are happening in the House of Assembly. And sometimes it will be educational, sometimes it will be just to tell people what is going on. And so I really want to thank you, Ambazonians, for staying engaged, supporting this struggle. Those who are supporting, congratulations. Those who are yet to support, join the bandwagon now. Don't wait any longer. Support the transition draft and support your LGAs, support your counties. Thank you.
Very much, Madam Speaker, Dr. Winnie Lobati. Ladies and gentlemen, for over 90 minutes, you've been listening to myself and the Speaker of the House of Assembly of the Federal Republic of Amazonia taking some necessary questions that to ensure some clarity. And we want to believe that there is some sanity that would have been restored. We'll be having the president one of these days also take some questions. I made to understand that next week there could be an APP. Once that date is established, we will publish it. But I have some necessary announcement. We'll be having some diplomats from Washington just to tell you some of the efforts that the government has made so far. I think they would have come even this week, but the only reason is because of the elections. The real men in Washington will come to talk to the people of Amazonia on very important issues one of these days. I'll also be announcing the dates to you. One of the dates that have been established, and is someone you already know that is coming back. He's just one of those that will be coming. Is Professor Hines will be with us on the 12th of November this month at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 7 p.m. Amazonia time, to present to us progress that has been made from the last time that he left, and probably to take some questions. We am yet to discuss with him if he will be interested to take questions from the public relating to the issues that he will be talking about. When we have that discussion or that conversation within the week, in the publicity, I'll let the public to know if they can prepare to participate virtually by presenting their questions. Aside from that, like I said, critical members of the United States diplomatic corps will be showing their faces on behalf of Ambazonia, not just with the efforts they have been doing at the background. This time they are willing to come in representation of their folk and to talk to the people of Ambazonia. It's been an amazing time. And until next time, not next time, until tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have the lawyers with us, Ambazonia this week. Be sure to have us talk on even deeper issues relating to today and the elections that is taking place in Ambazonia. What will change in the global hemisphere, whoever takes over the White House, and how will that affect Ambazonia's effort in Washington? All of that are questions that we intend to answer tomorrow in our debate with the lawyers. And also there's some framework development or a kind of report of last week transition fund drive. It was an amazing success. The government is very delighted with all Ambazonians who decided that they were going to give lavishly, and Ambazonians are still giving in spite of everything. And I want to encourage those who have not yet to make a plan to give, made to understand that it's going to take place 2 times again before the end of this year. For those who are yet to give their October, probably November dues for ABC, I'm talking about the club members, ethnic club members. The importance of this platform can never be overemphasized. Today could be one of those days that tells you that we need to stay alive and we need to stay in the air. So we're soliciting that you make your donations and make them today, like right now. We have the grace to do that. So until tomorrow, it's been Tarh Paddy King and the Speaker of the House.
Every 4 years, America faces a pivotal moment, choosing its next leader. But how does this process really work? Welcome to Voting Uncovered on ABC Amba TV.
Join us as we dive deep into the intricacies of the U.S. elections. We'll explore the untold stories, what influences voter decisions, the impact of swing states, and the strategies candidates use to sway the public.
Who has the chance of winning? We'll analyze the current contenders, dissect the polls, and share insider insights from political strategists and analysts.
Get ready for a compelling journey into the heart of American democracy. Tune in for exclusive interviews, captivating stories, and the facts behind the fiction, because it's time to truly understand how America votes.
Voting Uncovered, only on ABC Amba TV. Don't miss out on these insights.
Let's get out there. Let's fight for it. Let's get out there. Let's vote for it. And together, let us write the next great chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told.
Mabamenda, sweet Bamenda, yeah. Mabamenda, oh, Mabamenda, sweet Bamenda, Mabamenda, 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 oh, sweet Bamenda, you want go Bamenda, you enter through Santa, where you met up Akumo. After Akumo, we then Amenda Square. For station, I feel to see Mangone. Sing we know, sweet Bamenda, 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 sweet Bamenda, I want go Bamenda, Bamenda, Obafuto, Nadazo Bamenda, Malio, Nadazo Bamenda, Batibo, Nadazo Bamenda, Bamenda, yo one people, Bamenda, oh, Bamenda, sweet Bamenda, 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 me tanjage. Come oh, me greedy tanjage. Oh, some people oh, ayo, one family oh, aya. Oh, Mabamina, one family oh. Mabamina, oh, sweet Bamina. It's a Bamina, na fine woman. Mabamina, na fine chopa eh. Yebe Mabamina, sweet Bamina, yeah. Mabamina, sweet Bamina, Mabamina, daddy, Mabamina, yeah, Mabamina, Mabamina, ayo, Mabamina, Mabamina, ayo, sweet Bamina, yeah. Mabamina, 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 very welcome, Mabamina, ayo, sweet Bamina, make it love to Mabamina, yena with the chenga janso, make it love to Mabamina, yena with the chenga janso, make it love to Mabamina, yena with the chenga janso, make it love to Mabamina, yena with the chenga janso, make it love to Mabako, yena with the chenga janso, make it love to Mabamina, yena with the chenga janso, make it love to Mabamina, yena with the chenga janso, make it love to Mabamina, yena with the chenga janso. Ben Batio, want to Batia, watching Anjanga. Oh, Ben Batio, watching. Oh, Benjamin, you're turning want to Batia, watching Anjanga. Are you feeling me? If you're feeling me, make you follow me. Wanna follow me to Bamenda? As a beginner, wanna feeling me? Mama, wanna love me? Babankiyo, wanna feel me? I say, Wumo, wanna feel me? If you be feeling me, make it last me. If you last me, I go feel you. Sheila Tum yo, make it touch me, make I feel you. If you be feeling me, I be feeling you. Sheila Tum yo, hola sawa. I dey feeling you for last hour. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. Ayana garaga dale doa joa bonja doa dona. Ayana garaga dale doa joa bonja doa dona. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. Yana banawa. Ayana garaga dale doa joa. You yawa, you yawa. Hello, do a bella, yena banawa. Hello, do a bella, yena banawa. Ayena garagada, do a job, bonja do a dona. Ayena garagada, do lunga job, bonja do a dona. Hello, do a bella, yena banawa. Hello, do a bella, yena banawa. Ayena garagada, do a job, bonja do a dona. Ayena garagada, do a job, bonja do a dona. The ones who have a cover on have it the man, don't know. But the ones who have a cover on have it the man, don't know. The ones who have a cover on have it the man, Dr. Nicholas, the one for me. The ones who have a cover on one for now. The ones who have a cover on Divine Jim Ladder, one fire. The ones who have a cover on the ones who have a cover on Eddie May, the will for now. wanna shout the baby, wanna get a winner hade. Don't go to the one for now. Hello, the one for now. Everybody, the will for now. Hello, the one for now. The one for now. Hello, the one for now. Yeah, baby, wanna bounce it. Wanna shout the baby, wanna get a winner hade. Come on, ni na ho. One for now. Ayo, adijo for me. One for now, ni you are here. Yama, ni na ayo, ni you are here.
Here we have the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia signing the declaration that makes Ambazonia a government and no longer interim government. This is the government fully restored, and the next destination is Boya. There we go. Government of Southern Cameroon, Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has just promulgated the bill that was voted by the House of Assembly into law. So this law will be reflected in the new constitution. Thank you very much.